Good morning, Facebook friends. Helen Arcantu here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. Happy Monday. I hope everyone had a restful and happy weekend. So happy to start the week with you. And we're starting the week at YWTV talking about a very, very important conversation. It's about mental health resources. And, these are always key and important, but especially during this time for sure. We are grateful to have Dr. Yolanda Hawkins-Rogers with us. She is the founder of the Consortium of Mental Health and Educational Professionals of Color. We are grateful she could be with us today to share the services that she and her network of trained professionals who specialize in mental health, education, and veteran affairs are using to address the needs of underserved populations across New Jersey. Now, we know that so many populations have been dramatically impacted by COVID-19 and that they're facing issues like depression, anxiety, abuse, drug and alcohol dependencies, grief and loss. But we also know that they are very possibly not receiving the attention that they need and that they deserve. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to be talking about how to link folks up and connect them to specialized and qualified resources to be able to help them. So before we jump in, let me tell you a little bit about our guest today, Dr. Rogers, who in addition to starting the consortium, she is a licensed psychologist and a private practice in Hackensack, New Jersey, and she's a certified clinical supervisor who supervises both permit holders seeking to become licensed psychologists or a licensed professional counselor. Her target population includes adolescents, young adults, couples, and families. She has held the position as the first African American to chair the Department of Psychology and Counseling at Fairleigh Dickinson University at the Flora Madison campus while building her private practice. Dr. Rogers utilizes her experience as a university administrator and a psychologist to help create the consortium. Their highly trained team uses progressive and integrative methods to address the needs of those that they serve. The consortium provides a free directory of licensed and credentialed trained professionals of color that act as a resource and referral to underserved populations, particularly the African American community. The organization also provides professional mentoring and supervision for those seeking licensure or credentials in various fields of mental health and education. Well, what an important resource that you've created. Welcome, Dr. Rogers. So looking forward to talking to you about this.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And before I begin, I want to congratulate the Y for a wonderful receipt of revenue that you'll get to keep up the wonderful programs that you have done here in Northern New Jersey. So congratulations to you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And mental health is really high on our list in terms of a priority. And so this is a very, very important conversation that we're having today. So you have such an interesting background, that you've utilized all of that and brought you to this moment of forming the consortium. Can you tell us a little bit about what the thrust for you was to create this entity?
Well, when I left the university in 2016, I had been doing the dual roles for so long. And what I saw in my private practice, there was actually a need to have different mental health professionals come together. I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed as one of the few African American psychologists in Bergen County, and the population wanting to be served, to get the help that they need. So I thought, I know a lot of people in mental health field, but they're not all psychologists. They're social workers, they're LPCs, they're LCADCs. So I thought, we need to meet because we tend to be siloed in our particular profession. We don't get a chance to meet each other across disciplines. So I thought it was very important for us to come together. So I asked some of my colleagues who are on our executive board, African American women, and we have African American male as well. We came together and and the idea that I had came to fruition with the consortium. The idea was to initially to provide a directory for particularly African Americans, but people of color, and that's why we have that in our title. We didn't want to just limit it because some people need help and do seek out African Americans for mental health issues as well. But we wanted to target that population because in our tradition as African Americans, there is a underground and legitimate distrust of mental health and professionals because of the history that we've shared. So when I refer a client out, they want to know that I know the person I'm referring them to. So that was really the genesis of beginning this organization. So we could do direct referrals and we could refer the person having had some personal interaction. That's something that's very valued in the African American community, that we know each other and we are giving a personal stamp on the person. But we had to do it in an organized way. So we wanted to pull together a directory of credentialed and licensed professionals who would be willing to have their names in the directory and who could be contacted when we wanted to refer clients to other people. So that was the basis of it. We also joined in with educational professionals. I know a lot of colleagues because I've worn two hats who are in the educational arena, and they were very interested in joining in. So one of our, premier members, Pamela G. Was a counselor at the Parsippany High Schools for many years. So we thought we need to do both because counselors are now doing a lot of mental health work, kind of crossed over. So we thought it was very important to have that component as well and to provide information for parents who are maybe not well versed in what their rights are as parents in schools, and to provide help for college students who get lost in the system, who may not be familiar, first generation going to college who need some support. So we thought we'd reach out to our educational professionals, and that led to our initial organization. And then quite quickly, we've been doing this for about 2.5 years, but we've been talking about it, how it looks, what do we want to say. So we've been developing our the undercurrent of the organization in the last year, and then we launched our programs this year. So our initial thrust was to serve the community and then to also serve professionals who needed help to get further credentials, to access the systems that they were in, and to provide mentoring and clinical supervision for our peers and budging professionals. Because we don't want to do this forever. We want to, make sure the next generation is prepared.
Right. I love that. I love that you've created this kind of dual purpose organization to provide the resources, but also to grow your membership and to grow to have more African American and people of color joining the field and being able to be supported to stay in the field.
Right.
That's wonderful. So can you just for a moment, just to make sure that our and just for our listeners and our viewers, consortiumnewjersey.org is the website. It's up on the screen. We'll put it in the comments for you.
Right.
Just,
consortiumnj.org.
I'm sorry, consortiumnj.org.
Yes.
Please let us know again now who. So it's a wide array in terms of your membership of mental health mental health professionals that fall into a different bunch of different areas. And are they from all around New Jersey?
Well, we had originally started with the name, it was just going to be Bergen County. Then we attracted a lot of people
in there, right?
who were across the board. So we just said NJ. So now we're across the board. So we're seeking professional, and because of telehealth and because of the pandemic, we were not limited to just Bergen County. So that the pandemic had an actually positive effect for our organization. So we're across New Jersey, yes. So we have some professionals in, well, everything is considered northern New Jersey, but we do have some in southern New Jersey. So we're building our organization, hoping to invite more people in who are professionals to see the benefit of them joining and to support the clientele that they're serving.
That's wonderful. So anybody watching, whether you're in need of resources or you're interested in joining the consortium, please reach out through the link that we've attached here, and you can connect with Dr. Rogers and her team. So obviously, because you have professionals that are across the board in terms of mental health services, you're also then providing a whole series of services, of different types of services. Um, can you speak to a little bit about what someone might be looking for? What they would come to you for?
Well, they've ranged so much in terms of support. We have professionals who just work with people who are going through trauma or grief. We've done workshops on uh, people who are looking for academic support for their children. We've done, since April of last year, we've done about 6 different workshops that cover different topics because we saw the need. And as the pandemic unfolded, we had requests from our different clientele that we needed to talk about how we're going to advocate for our children returning to school, how we're going to help parents deal with the anxiety of, do I send my children back to school or do they stay at home? So we started to gear each month of last year from June to address the specific issues we saw relevant in our private practice and in our contacts. So that drove the kinds of presentations that we give once a month, every Thursday, the fourth Thursday of a month. So we picked out a time where people could say, "Oh, well, what's going on Thursday, the fourth Thursday of the month at 6 to 7:30," and they could pull us up and see what's happening. And that's on our calendar when you go to our website. So we wanted to be specific, we wanted to be consistent, and we wanted it to be relevant in terms of the topics that we brought up. So a lot of what we talk about in our presentation was driven by our clientele,
Mhm.
by the community. So, and then we made it relevant to the time of the year. So September was about anxiety that parents may be feeling. We also did something for teachers and administrators. What was that like, being a parent and administrator returning to a school system? What was the support they got? We got a great deal of positive feedback about that. October, we did something about anxiety and preparing for college because our educational professionals said that's the time that you start filling out applications. And the whole system has turned around a little bit, so we thought we would address that as well. um, Great feedback from parents and college students and high school students who joined us. So we're trying to bridge the gap between, adults and addressing the needs of the youth and adolescents in our populations that we serve. And then we did something November about grief and trauma. A lot of people begin to, around the holidays, feel a sense of loss and abandonment, and particularly in the African American community where the rituals around grieving and funeralizing the departed ones was taken away for a lot of people this year. And they haven't had a chance to talk about the grief that they've experienced about a lost one. So we talked about that. The trauma of being separated from families were some of the topics we covered. And we not only have open forums, but we also provide suggestions in how to handle these issues. And in December, one of my clients, adolescent clients, college students, I should say, was talking about how difficult it was to deal with school, returning home after or having to end their semester, what it was like to be a freshman last year, and what was it like for students who are starting their freshman year, what it was like. They had a lot of different experiences about their first semester in college and how they would interface with each other and how they would interface with their parents. So we thought it was a very helpful and a very energetic, interactive presentation that we had. So the components in our presentations are didactic. We provide information, how to. The other part is the open forum for the participants to share, because we always learn from, we can be the teacher and the student at the same time. So that's part of our motto in terms of how we approach issues that the community presents. And our most recent one will be in January, and I invite people to attend. We're doing a relationship readiness. It's after the holidays. Some people are now going on websites trying to find the right one. So we have one of our members who's a relationship expert. So he's going to do a wonderful presentation in January, the fourth Thursday in January, and how to be prepared for relationships. So we try to make it current and relevant to what we're experiencing from month to month. That's really how we progress and how we have evolved. We do workshops through, it'll be probably through May or June. We end for the summer and pick up again in August. We do our planning in the summer for our programs. So as people join our organization, we invite them to bring topics that they want to present and to we have a Zoom account, so people are welcome as members. Say, look, I have a great idea for a presentation. I have a market I want to present my idea to. Can I book it? And we say, sure, absolutely, because we want to be inclusive, open, and relevant to what people are actually experiencing. And so I think that's been part of our success so far, to be able to be current and to invite our professionals as they join us to talk about their issues. Recently, we just had some members who joined who specialize in substance abuse. I know you're interested in that, who specialize in that, who've been working in the field for a long time, diligently, maybe not well known, but we want them known to the community and use it as a resource. And, we might go out of state at some point because some of our professionals are credentialed in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania as well. So we see our reach growing this year. We see us offering more to the community and offering more to our professionals. Another part of that I think is really important is the service we offer to our professionals. I'm licensed to provide supervision for uh, people seeking their license as a psychologist or LPC. And certainly in our community, in the African American community and communities of color, there may be fewer mentors or supervisors available to provide and navigate them through the system to get their license. So we're very happy about that. The other part is peer supervision, which is a service that we provide for coming together and talking about clinical cases and talking about needs of students in an educational forum to share ideas so we can improve and hone our own skills. We, in the future, we're planning for next year because we're really doing more recruitment of getting people in, is to provide continuing ed credits because in every arena, people have to continue to upgrade their skills, which is very important. So we'll be offering CEs hopefully in next year as
Wow,
we move on. And I
that's
talk too much.
no, you covered so much, and I'm just very impressed with the depth of your services, both for clients that would like to come in for support as well as professionals. I mean, it's very unique and needed, to be able to have those two pieces together and really kind of strengthens both parts.
Yeah.
That you're able to do that. You said something early on when you were talking that I keep thinking about in terms of being able to get your target group connected to resources. You talked about the mistrust of using and accessing mental health services in the Black and African American communities and the communities of color. How can we help create a bridge, to get folks into treatment when they need it and to feel a comfort level? What are some of the ways that individuals can talk to members of their family or people and friends that they know to try to encourage them to access help?
I think one of the things that's been, the strength in terms of reaching out to our community is to interact in a personal way. Now, it goes against the grain sometimes when we're doing a psychosocial interview or we're trying to gain information. We miss the personal contact, the interaction, which is very important for African Americans and most people of color. It is important to be able to have that kind of sense that I do care about you. This is not just a form I'm filling out, but I want to know more about you. And I always say in my trainings to people who are trying to get their license, one of the things that builds skills across colors is if the person feels as if you really care. If you ask one really good question, you can have your whole psychosocial intake filled out because that person will feel connected. So I think that's really important. And sometimes in our workday life, we're so busy, we have to get 10 applications in, we have to get so many people signed up to a program, we miss that human element. Again, in this age where we do more online in terms of communicating, you know, we miss the language of the body language of communication is lost and it's being transferred when we actually do talk to people because we forget as a human being there, we need to make that connection. I find that's been one of the most successful things whether the person is talking to an African American mental health or educational professional, if that person seems to be really interested in who I am. So I think it's important in terms of a training level, the people who are interacting with the community to be aware of that and to be culturally sensitive and aware. So I've done trainings in that area as well because people have good intentions. Most people in these services are doing this because they care.
Yeah.
The leap next is to be aware of how am I going to deliver that caring. So I have to be able to wear the way I think about things, the way I feel about things may be different than the person sitting next to me, even though they're here to get some service. So I think that's elementary. So training of staff, awareness of the person who's sitting next to me or in front of me is very important in making that connection. Reaching out to whatever other organizations that exist that this person may be using has to be considered in providing services. So, one of the things that we're trying to do is to make sure we reach out to organizations such as yourself, find out what's happening with your organization, tell you what we're doing, and see if we're delivering the services almost to the same person. Because I'm sure that you get people who, maybe they could benefit from some mental health services. Maybe this person could use some help with substance abuse. Maybe this person needs to know more about how to advocate the school system. So we want that connection. I want to be able to say, yes, I know the people at the Y and they are blah, 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 blah. The personal connection is better than just sending the person to an organization because of the lack of trust,
Mm.
um, the element of intimidation by an organization that is more powerful than me, the transgenerational history of not expecting institutions to have my best interests at
Mm.
heart makes the difference in terms of let me refer you to Helen or to Lori or to Christy, and I know them and I know they take care of you. Then that person is more likely to one contact you and use your services. So that's why it's important for us to be connected to people in the community offering services to the same population.
Yes, I would agree. And then I think about the other big barrier to accessing mental health services is, insurance and funding. How can we, help and what is the message that we should be sending folks that are raising that as an issue why they're not accessing care?
Well, that is the big issue for us as mental health professionals as well. Some of us are on, well, I can tell you sometimes it's very difficult for some African American professionals to get on panels. They get some resistance from the organizations. So we're looking for some support outside of ourselves to be able to do that. Some of our clients do not have insurance, so that behooves us to do something in a way that is beneficial to our population. We have to do, I see clients where it's on scale based on what you can pay, and some are just they're not paying anything at all because I do believe what I'm doing I'm supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
So we try to foster in our professionals and most of them are doing things across the range. So we have to address it. For some for some people who are receiving Medicaid, it is very difficult. It's better to just see them and not charge them than to try to go through the Medicaid system because it's very complicated for a lot of professionals. and not worth the return. So it's just better to say, I'm going to do this at this rate so that people are seen.
Yeah.
One way we hope to address people who may not have access, to insurance is to do these presentations. If they have access to a computer, if they have a smartphone, they can join in because we want to do things that are free. So all our presentations are open to the public. We're open to dealing with other organizations. We had this particular issue going on we see in our population. Would you be willing to do a presentation on that? Could your clients or people you serve have access on a Thursday so we can talk to them about this? Because sometimes people just feel better in groups. They don't want to do individual. But
Yeah.
a group process and talking about it and seeing that others are dealing with this will lead people to individual services. And another model that's coming up in mental health very quickly, and it's been, I think it's been a pilot plan. I want to say Jersey City, I may be incorrect, where medical doctors, mental health professionals are working to do a 20-minute session with individuals who feel intimidated by a system, who still have the transgenerational, and by fact that I'm not really, if I have to see a mental health person, I must be crazy. So we have to demystify that, the stigma about receiving mental health. But I have to say, I've seen such a shift in the last year with more African Americans and people of color seeking help. It's not tied to a frailty of person or lack of faith in your religion, but understanding that they go hand in hand. So I always like to say to people, if you broke your wrist, you broke your arm, you could pray, but I think you would still want to go to a doctor and get it set and still pray. So
Yes. Yes.
people who seek mental health support, who seek help with their children in school, are being proactive. That's a healthy thing to do.
Yes, yes. Well, it's wonderful that you're starting to see that trend, and obviously, we hope that conversations like this, start to and continue to reinforce that, we don't support that stigma, and that these are healthy choices to make, um,
Abs-
and they make you stronger for sure, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I'm so grateful to know that your organization exists and that you have, brought together this, wonderful two piece, and both pieces so important, for supporting and developing professionals in the community as well as providing resources. For those of you watching again, the website is consortiumnewjersey.org. The link is in the comments. We encourage you to go to their website. Are you on social media as well? Do you have any social media pages?
Well, we're starting that. This actually in the next week or two, I think we're going to have an Instagram account. But right now, we don't have Facebook. We're going to do Instagram, and we have our website. And that's
That's
our
great. Well, stay connected to their website and watch for the opening of their Instagram page. These monthly workshops are a wonderful way to start to access care if you're trying to tread slowly. And clearly, we have lots of great professionals for you to connect with. And I do look forward to working with you more, Dr. Rogers, and continuing to build that trust and those relationships to be able to strengthen the community and the relationships for sure, because I fully agree that this is something that we all need to work on together, to create, accessing mental health services as being something that is, just as readily done as, going to the doctor when you have a cold. Um,
absolutely. And I want to thank you, and I want to say, I don't want to forget other organizations that I'm a part of that I've tried to intersperse the consortium in, which is Delta Sigma Theta of Bergen County and Rotary of Hackensack. I'm
Wonderful.
very involved with that because we're trying to do more collaborative things with other organizations. This is very important. So we're looking to collaborate with you because you're a very big presence in, particularly in Hackensack in northern New Jersey, because we need to do more overlap with each other to see what we're doing. If we're replicating programs, fine, but if we can work together in a collaborative way, I think our outreach would be even greater.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to it. And again, for those of you watching, it's consortiumnewjersey.org. And Dr. Rogers, thank you so much for spending this time with us this morning. For those of you that are going to continue to stick with us for the week, more to come for sure, but two upcoming programs this week you should mark your calendars for. On Thursday at 11 a.m., we continue our Share the Mic Now programming, and we have Lynn Allgrant with us, who's the Vice President for Planning, Development, and Communications at Greater Bergen Community Action. It's a wonderful conversation I'll be having with Lynn. She's a very noted community leader in Bergen County in Hackensack, and I always has a lot of really important words to share. So I'm looking forward to that. And on Friday, as we are getting ready for Martin Luther King Day, which is on Monday, we will be starting our tributes with a very, very, very special event. A student performer, Emmanuel Osadu, will be reading the letters from a Birmingham jail. And he is quite moving. And I hope that you can join us for this special event. It's a wonderful opportunity for parents and families together to watch. And if you can't watch it when it's live, it is here on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel to watch when the time that you can gather to do that. Also, on just to start marking your calendars for next Monday on January 18th, we are active members of to the Martin Luther Jr. Dr. Martin Luther Jr. Birthday Committee, and also the Dr. Martin Luther King Celebration Committee of Ridgewood Glenrock. And both committees have events next Monday at 10 a.m. next Monday. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Committee of Ridgewood Glenrock will be celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. King, as well as at 6 p.m. on Monday, the MLK Birthday Committee of Bergen County has a program with guest speakers and musical performances that are sponsored by a whole group of religious, fraternal, and civic organizations, including the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. We hope that you mark your calendar for both of these events. They will both be, very, very important for you to see. And in addition to all of that, we are weekly doing our virtual senior fitness classes that include chair yoga, Zumba, Fit and Fabulous. They're morning times, multiple classes throughout each day that are free and able to be accessed online. You can just register from our website, and we do encourage you. We have a booming census of takers of our senior fitness class, and we welcome more of you to join us. We have fabulous instructors, and it's really been a wonderful opportunity for seniors to also impact their physical and their mental well-being by being part of those classes. And we do always encourage you to sign up for a 21-day Racial Equity and Social Justice Challenge, which you can do. We'll drop the link here into our comments. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to learn about issues of race, power, privilege, and leadership. So please sign up for that. So we wish you a wonderful week. We started it off on the right part of our brain, thinking about being healthy and being strong and ways to do that. And Dr. Rogers has given us some wonderful opportunities and linkages to be able to set ourselves up for a mental healthy year, which we wish for everyone. Have a great day. Dr. Rogers, thank you again for joining us.
And thank you for having me. Have a